the Bhatts really know how to make and release a film well. The story for Jism 2 is much more human. It's much more tortured. People say, oh, she was a taskmaster. How did you work with her? You want to work with a taskmaster. Sudhir worked me hard enough that I scraped through on Ye Sali Zindagi. I'm sure I could have done much better. Everybody that doesn't know me is saying it's looking good. Like my sisters and stuff are saying, oh ho. So, it's all positive so far. Somebody at the, not the promos, but somebody was at the screening that we did about 3 days ago, and she called me delicious. And I didn't know how to say. Because, so it was funny.
एक स्पेशल टास्क के लिए मेरे डिपार्टमेंट को तुम्हारी जरूरत है और इसी बहाने मुल्क की मदद भी कर लोगी.
Well, Mahesh Bhatt called me in and he gave me the narration. And first off, he just kept saying, how tall are you? And he just kept asking me that. And then he sat me down and he stared at me for about 20 minutes. And then he said, Bachcha Karlega. So then Pooja was like, Papa, unko narration to do. Nahi, Karlega. He'll do it well. And then after much coaxing, he gave me the narration. And I really liked the story. I mean, I had my own misconceptions or, preconceived notions about what Jism 2 they would want to do with a film like that. But when I heard the script, I found it very hard to say no. And plus I know that the Bhatts really know how to make and release a film well. So I knew that at least my work would get seen in a film that was of a higher release rate than the ones I normally usually do. The story for Jism 2 is much more human. It's much more tortured. It's not just about what the body wants, and it's what the heart wants when the body gets in the way, and we've all been there. You've liked a woman that you can't have, and sometimes things happen between you and they shouldn't, but you can't stop yourself, and you love them, but they love somebody else, yet they're with you, and all that. And so just that combination of lust and love, just that, in a very real way. It's not like it's you won't be able to relate to any of the characters. The situations might be, in Sri Lanka and wandering around a beach, but the basic emotion is so very relatable that I really do think we did a good job.
प्यार, इश्क, मोहब्बत, दुनिया का सबसे आखिरी और खतरनाक नशा है. अगर तुम किसी से प्यार करने का दावा करते हो, तो उसे निभाने की हिम्मत भी रखो.
My character is called Ayan. He is the youngest member of this raw team. And their mission is to catch Randeep Huda's character, who is a traitor and a terrorist. Or they're not quite sure. He's not quite sure. He just knows that this is the mission. And they know that at one point, somewhere in the past, Randeep and Sunny Leone's character had an equation. Right? So they've decided to take Sunny and offer her this thing to go undercover and try and draw Randeep out. And she's supposed to go undercover as my fiancé. And while we're pretending to be a couple, actual sparks fly. And as sparks fly, I start getting torn between the fact that I'm supposed to use her to catch Randeep, and that Randeep also might have an equation, and then that whole torturous love triangle begins and everyone goes, bonkers. The world that she comes from, that's absolutely normal. Any girl that I have relations with has the right to ask that question and should ask that question. I think it's smart and healthy. I got no problem with that. But when has that become a bad thing? I don't know, but people say, oh, she was a taskmaster. How did you work with her? You want to work with a taskmaster. I don't want to work with somebody that's chilling and doing their own thing and say, theek hai, good shot. It's pointless. You don't want a friend on set. You want a parent. And Pooja's tough. And I like that. Because otherwise, human beings by nature are lazy. We don't want to work. If you worked 18 hours a day, at the end of the day, you just want to sit and have some chai. But to have somebody get you up off your ass and make you deliver a decent shot, that takes strength, that takes ferocity, and Pooja has that in spades. So I had a great time working with her. It's a little weird to say because I barely watch the film after it's done, because actors, we get really full of doubt and, oh, I should have done that better. But that's not for me to say. If you like it better than the last one, you tell me and I'll feel really good about that. But I don't know. I work as hard on all of them. Some of them work, some of them don't. I still find some scenes I could have done better in every film I've done. Sudhir worked me hard enough that I scraped through on Ye Sali Zindagi. I'm sure I could have done much better, but I really liked what I managed to do in Ye Sali Zindagi, considering that I'm not from that world at all. I don't know the language, I don't know the people, I don't know the locations, anything. I've never even seen that part of the world. So I think that was pretty effective. It could have been a little different, but I wanted to do it that way. I like Abhi Abhi. There's a song called Abhi Abhi that I really like.
Abhi abhi to pasand aaye ho, abhi na karo